sing that together. Love one another. Eighth birthday, yeah. But he was elated. He got some kind of a 3D printer. He was printing out a little boat. He wanted to see it. Imagine that. Wow. It's unbelievable. We're living in an amazing time, an amazing day and age. So did you ever wonder what it was like maybe to have lived in the Old Testament times? And for the most part, as I think about it, I don't think I would have liked it too much. But then I was reminded of the time where, after 40 years wandering in the desert, how much fun was that? Wandering in the desert for 40 years. The children of Israel entered into the long-awaited promised land. What that must have been like. Must have been super exciting to live, for them to say, wow, to live in this day and age, it was amazing. I thought of how it must have been for David when he was made king of Israel, at a time of peace and plenty. And then there was a time of Solomon, who had the privilege of building the temple for the Lord. This all brought me to where I am today. And I was amazed and very, very grateful that I am living now in the 20th century. We're living in an amazing time that other generations could not even comprehend. We can hardly comprehend the changes. Can't hear me, Tom? That's right. That might be better.
Real good.
Not like food, right? But that would be a little better. But living today is just an amazing time. We talk about it, the things that are going on around the world that we are privy to. We can see things taking place. It's just so much. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm thankful to be living when I'm living right here now. Especially in light of the fact that Jesus is coming soon. This generation just may witness his return. Can you imagine that? To have him say, appear in the clouds and say, come on up. And be up there with him. We don't have to die. We don't have to die. Just be up there with him. So, I wondered if the people living in the other times in history felt the same way that I feel today. That things that we're thankful for today. And I wonder also, what was it that makes the difference between them and us and their time and our time? I think it all comes down to having proper attitude. Proper attitude. And just what is the proper attitude? Could we call it a beatitude? A beatitude? What does the word mean, beatitude? Having the right attitude. It's all about the right attitude. If you have the right attitude, you can do just about anything. Just about anything. It's amazing. Some of you might remember the story about this little ball player. You want to talk attitude. You only one like this little guy? This little boy was overheard talking to himself as he strutted through the backyard. He had his baseball cap in place. He was holding a ball and a bat. You could hear him say, I am the greatest hitter in the world. I'm the greatest. And he tossed the ball up into the air, swung at it, and he missed. Strike one. Strike one. Without any hesitation, he picked up the ball, threw it into the air, and said to himself, I am the greatest hitter ever. He swung at the ball again, and again, he missed. Strike two. He paused for a moment, took another good look at his bat, see if maybe there was a hole in it or something. Then he carefully looked at the ball. And a third time, he threw the ball into the air, and he said, I am the greatest hitter who ever lived. Talk about attitude. He swung the bat hard again, missing a third time. He cried out, wow, strike three. Now comes the attitude. Wait for it. What a pitcher! I'm the greatest pitcher that ever lived. So now that's having the right attitude. Okay? So why should we have the right attitude? So that we would be happy or blessed. Jesus was giving us a formula in the Sermon on the Mount, a formula for happiness. As Christians, one of the first things that we learn is we need to love the Lord and love our neighbor. Those are the things we learn. When I first became a Christian, Billy Hotchkiss was my mentor, and he told me this. He told me one day, he said, we need to do three things. If you want to be a Christian, you want to follow Jesus, he said, number one, you got to pray. Number two, read the Bible. And the third one was the hard one, you have to witness. Tell others about Jesus. That was a hard one because, I think we're all kind of shy. We don't want to tell everybody about Jesus, this new thing. We live in a world that, for the most part, rejects Jesus. Therefore, we must become witnesses. So how do we do this? How do we do this? Well, by way of examples. It's not by our cleverness that we become witnesses. And it's not by our ability to dazzle people with fancy words. Make sure you get this. It's our life that counts. When we come to Christ, we become walking Bibles. People look at us every day to see what God is doing in our lives. Do you have a life that counts? Are you pleased with the life that you're living before the Lord? Are you pleased with your life right now? Are you content in knowing that God is with you and you're with them and you're being blessed by Him? Let's look what Jesus had to say about it in the book of Matthew, chapter 5, starting with verse 1. Now when he saw the crowds, he went up to the mountainside and he sat down. And his disciples came to him. And he began to teach them, saying, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. You ever thought about that verse? When I first became a believer, that verse really baffled me. That doesn't make any sense to me. Don't look at that. Blessed are the poor in spirit. Verse 4, Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Was that an amen I heard? Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Yeah, that's an amen. Just keep it up. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the sons of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, because great is your reward in heaven. For in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you. So Jesus wants his followers to reflect his Father's likeness to this world. Follow that? He wants us to reflect his likeness to the world. His Father's likeness. Can you think of an example of a reflection? What kind of reflection he's talking about? How about a mirror image? What do you see when you look in the mirror? You may not be happy, it depends what time of day it is, but what do you see? When we look in the mirror, we see a reflection of ourselves. We use the word Christian a lot, but do we know what the word Christian really means? The word Christian means Christ-like. Christ-like, to be Christ-like. Jesus is saying that Christ-like people would be blessed if we follow him. But if we look at the Greek word for blessed, we discovered that the Greek word would say happy instead of blessed. Insert that word there. Happy are the poor in spirit. So then just what does it mean to be Christ-like? He shows us here in this sermon. And that is the whole purpose of the Sermon on the Mount, so that we might become Christ-like. The Christ-like person is to be poor in spirit. Wow, what does that mean? Does that make any sense at all to you? Well, why would you want me to be poor, especially when it comes to the Spirit? Wouldn't it be better to be abundant in the Spirit or overflowing in the Spirit? Why would you want me to be poor in the Spirit? Well, let's first take a look at the word poor. What does it mean to be poor? You know anybody that's poor, you soon know, you realize to be poor means to have little or nothing. When you're poor, you have little or nothing. And when you have nothing, it usually means that, make sure you get this, it usually means that you need everything. This word poor, the original Greek, would be better described as needy. Blessed are the needy in spirit. If a person has no needs, guess what? He doesn't need God or anything from God or others. But a person who has needs can ask, and God is very, very pleased to supply those needs. Therefore, that person is blessed, or that person is happy. And theirs, he says, is the kingdom of heaven. What's the kingdom of heaven? Does everyone remember what the kingdom, or where the kingdom of heaven is? Do you know where the kingdom of heaven is? That's what I was just before. Where's the kingdom of heaven? The kingdom of heaven is wherever the king is in residence. Where does he reside? Where does the king reside? Where does your king reside? Right here. My king's living right here. Residing right here. Let's look at blessed are they who mourn. Can a person who mourns be happy? They can if they mourn for the right reason. An example might be the person who mourns for their sins. God will comfort. If you mourn for your sins, he will comfort. What does it mean to mourn? To mourn is to feel or to express sorrow, lament, to grieve. If you've done something that is out of the will of God for your life, and you become aware of it, you should take it to the Lord and tell Him. Tell Him that you're sorry for your sin. And once we do this, what happens? It's a type of mourning. What happens? The load of guilt that we've been carrying is removed. Did you know that? When you take it to the Lord, you're carrying this guilt of sin around, and you just can't get rid of the guilt. If you take that load of guilt to the Lord and give it to Him, the guilt is removed. It's then that the Lord can and will bless you. And then you can say, blessed are they who mourn. Blessed are the meek. What's another word for meek? We have this idea that those who are meek are the same as those who are weak. But that is just not so. In fact, meekness is defined as strength under control. Strength under control. Those who are meek are like the horses. Horses that have been harnessed. A horse can be an untamed horse can be a wild animal. And strong. Their wild independence needs to be broken. Once that independence is broken, they are changed. They become meek. Still strong. Same with us. Our wild independence from God has to be broken. And thus, meekness is not weakness. Make sure you get that. Meekness is strength under control. Gentle, not cowardly. Can you think of any examples of meek men in the Bible? How about Moses? Moses was considered a meek man. But when you look at what he accomplished, you have to say, all that he did took great strength. Jesus was a meek man. But when you look at Jesus, do you see a man that is weak? On the contrary, when we look at Jesus, we see one who can help in every situation. And if you have come to the place where you can receive from Him, you soon realize that there is so much strength available. When people came to Jesus, they saw a healer. They saw a gentle man. But when He calmed the storm in the middle of the sea, they saw one who had power and strength. So much so that they're able to say, who is this who speaks to the wind and the waves and they obey? Who is this? Can you imagine that? Saying to the wind, stop blowing. The closest thing we have to that, I can relate to this, is if you have a dog and that dog is jumping all over the place and he's jumping, he won't settle down, and you say to him, Lassie, sit still, and it sits still. Can you imagine using that same kind of command to the elements? Say to the sun, stop shining. The wind, stop blowing. Rain, stop raining. So a meek person is a gentle person. And a gentle person is one who can exercise this one thing we call self-control. So make sure you get this. It's not weakness, but it is strength under control. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Next, those who hunger for righteousness, blessed are the merciful. Do you find that you're hungry for the things that are right? You hunger for the things that are right. I believe some of you might remember our old friend Artie Jack. Remember Artie Jack? What was his famous saying? Artie had a famous saying.
Do the right thing.
Do the right thing and the right thing will happen. He didn't always do it. He didn't always have, but he talked about it. So do you show mercy instead of wrath? When I think of this verse, I'm reminded of what Jesus said. He said, be careful how you measure. Because the measure you measure out will be measured back to you by my Father. Can I think about that verse? Luke chapter 6:38. Given it will be given unto you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, will be poured into your lap. But with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. So what kind of measure are you? You take the large portion or the small portion. Louise always gives me the large portion. And I don't always want the large portion, but she always gives it. She's a good measurer. This is a Christ-like quality, and it's pretty much self-explanatory because most of us are aware of the give and take system. It falls into the laws of nature. Next, what is a peacemaker? A peacemaker is a person who will sacrifice everything for harmony. What is harmony? I heard a story just the other day. A little girl came to her dad and said, "Daddy, I'm learning harmony." And he said, "That's great, honey. We can sing together." She said, "No, I want to do it by myself." She hasn't learned it yet, has she? Harmony is something you don't do by yourself. You need others to be involved. A peacemaker is a person who has a hard time accepting the idea that in this world there will be conflicts. Okay. We see it all around us, but a peacemaker has trouble accepting that. A person who is a peacemaker is a good referee. A good referee. A person who can help to reconcile hostile parties. A person who is considered a good mediator. But Jesus was referring to those who could minister the healing words of comfort. The word comfort is a word that I've just gotten a hold of the past couple of months. It's just an amazing word. We've been given comfort. We have comfort. But we get comfort from Jesus if we comfort one another. Jesus said, if you comfort one another with these words, my words, you will be comforted. It's an amazing thing. Healing words of comfort. Make sure you get this. These words could all come from Him. It's these peacemakers that He calls His own. And lastly, Jesus said we would be happy if we were persecuted for Him. How do you feel about this one? For me, this is a hard pill to swallow. I'm not looking forward to it. But Jesus seems to delight in those who are persecuted. I don't like to be persecuted, so how can I be happy about such a thing? Is it possible? We have to realize that the happiness is in the fact that the Christian has chosen righteousness rather than being accepted by the world. You ever thought about that? This could bring a type of persecution. So you say, where does the happiness come in a situation like this? Happiness comes from knowing that in the midst of your persecution, you can have the assurance that you are doing the right thing. In the midst of your persecution, to have the assurance that, okay, I'm doing the right thing. And what is that right thing? The thing that you are doing is pleasing the Lord. Knowing that. If you know that, you can withstand the persecution. And when we're pleasing the Lord and we know it, we are going to be happy with us. That's what He says. As we sum this up, basically Jesus is saying happiness is grounded in something deeper than temporary conditions. Temporary conditions. What are they? Things like financial prosperity. And things like being accepted by the world. They're temporary. They're temporary. True happiness, He said, is found in spiritual prosperity. Spiritual prosperity. And acceptance, not by the world, but acceptance by God. Can you see the difference? It comes down to who are you trying to please? Trying to please the world? Or are you trying to please God? Are you looking for financial prosperity, or are you looking for spiritual prosperity? Who are you trying to please? Is this to say that wealth is a sin? There are some that would say that. The love of money, the root of all evil. People would say it's money that's the root of all evil, but they misquote the verse. It's the love of money that's the root of all evil. No, possessions are not sinful, and money is not. evil. But it's how you handle it. It's back to what the attitude. What is your attitude? And Jesus tells us in Matthew chapter 5. He says, you are the salt of the earth. But if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It's no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled by men. He said, you are the light of the world. A city hid on a hill. You know, a city on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Remember that song we used to sing in Sunday school? Hide it under a bushel. No, I'm going to let it shine. I'm going to let it shine and shine. Instead, they put it on a stand and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, I love this verse. It's one of my favorite verses. The same way, let your light shine before men. Why? That they may see your good deeds and make you look really good, make you feel good. No, that's not what it says. That's what we think they're going to see me and they're going to think, wow, you're a pretty special person. Look at that light shining in that guy. Wow, he's got some light. That's where we get in trouble with that. Used to be in construction, I would do a job, end of the job, people say, wow, that looks beautiful. And I didn't know how to respond to that. Most the humble way to say, that's nothing. But I didn't believe that. If I believed it was nothing, I wouldn't have done it. I put my whole heart into it. I did it to make it look good, and I wanted it to look good. So I can't say, it was nothing. So I prayed about it. I said, Lord, how do you want me to handle this? And he showed me a way. You've got to find a way to bring that praise back to me. Okay. So I said, well, it's a good job. I said, yeah, Jesus did it. No, that's not going to be well received. How do you get it to good? Somehow we've got to show that it was his working through me, in me, that made me able to do what I did. So how can you do that? You need to figure a way. You can let your light shine so others will see Jesus. Somehow you've got to turn it back to him. Glorify your Father in heaven. But why would the Lord use an example as common as salt? Salt is a good parallel. It's a good parallel to the Christian character. Why? It gives flavor. It's also a preservative. But if it loses its saltiness, what good is it? Christians are also compared to light. But if light is hidden, what good is it? He said, let your light shine before men, not hide it. Many Christians hide their light. They don't want anybody to know one of them goody two shoes. Not one of the Christians that comes to talk about the Lord and they walk away. That's not what he's called us to do. If light is hidden, it's of no value. So do you see what he's saying to us? Make sure you get this. If you really want to please him, he wants us to shine for him. Why would he want us to shine for him? Because this pleases him. It pleases him. You know, a person might not always need the light, but it should always be there when it is needed. So this goes back to the peacemakers. When a person wants real peace, they need to know where to go to find it. Do they know? Do they know they can come to you if they're looking for peace? Do you represent to your friends and family a person who is a peacemaker, a person who is able to help them deal with their situations, their problems? Is that what you want to be? You want to be a peacemaker? We mean to make peace easy to find. Okay. You need, if they look at you, can they see this? What good is it to have advice you can't share? Verse 16 says, let your light shine. This is where the wealth and the positions come into play. That they be used for the glory of God, not for the glory of self. So let me ask you, after hearing this, does Jesus want us to be happy? The answer to that is yes, but we look in the wrong places for happiness. If you're honest, you can admit that. We look in all the wrong places for happiness. This man had just had his annual physical exam, He was waiting for the doctors to give him his initial report. After a few minutes, the doctor came in with his charts in his hands, and he said, Jim, he said, there's no reason why you can't live a completely normal life, as long as you don't try to enjoy it. As long as you don't try to enjoy it. Now, is there any wisdom in that statement? I guess it comes down to where are you looking for your enjoyment? Okay? Think of this guy in this situation. If he applies it spiritually or physically. Where can you find real joy? Last week, I think one of the kids' messages, I think Paul mentioned, how do you spell joy? Joy. God wants us to have joy. How do you spell joy? J or what? Jesus first, others second, and yourself last. That's real joy. Where can you find real joy? In the Beattitudes, we can find Jesus' formula for a happy life. But have you asked yourself, ask yourself this question. What do non-Christians see when they look into your life? We're in the world. We're not of the world. See in your life. Or do you even care? Are you happy with this? Are you happy with what people see in your life? Is your light shining for Jesus? Truly happy people do not have their trust or their confidence in the wealth of this world, but instead it's placed in spiritual wealth and the promises of God. That's where our wealth is. Jesus said that we are the light of the world. Light does not exist for its own sake. It doesn't exist for its own sake. Light exists to provide illumination. So it should be with Christians. We are to point people to Christ. Do your friends and family see Jesus in you? Do they? Maybe, I'm going to leave you a challenge. Maybe you can ask yourself this question. Ask yourself this question. Would you hire yourself? If you were an employer trying to hire an efficient yourself at your salary, would you hire yourself? Think about it. Or if you had to live with someone just like yourself for the rest of your life, would you look forward to it as a wonderful opportunity and privilege? Would you? As you have time to think this through, consider your attitude. Consider your attitude and ask, is it a being attitude? Is it a being attitude? Let's close in prayer.
Not
situation, so we just give it to him. It comes down to one word, a couple words, just give me Jesus. Okay? You can have the whole world. Give me Jesus. Let's sing that together. Give me Jesus.